Right now in our culture, people celebrate effort, and whatever is difficult to do feels like the right thing to do. I don't entirely agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. When we celebrate effort so much, we forget that things that we're meant to do are always easier for us to do. They're easier for us than for other people. That's how you know that you're probably on the right track. Whatever is easier for you can be impossible for another human being. Well, it doesn't mean that whatever you're doing is easy because it's not easy for them. It only means that it's easy for you. And the culture that celebrates effort over finding the method that works for you, it's really difficult for people to learn and to trust themselves enough to find the method that works for them. When you start learning a new skill, you start shifting your norm. You start changing your norm. That's the task ahead of you. Let's say you cannot ride a horse. You're afraid of horses. You don't know what to do with them. That's your norm. That's your reality today. If you want to learn to ride a horse, you want to change that reality where you are a confident rider. If you don't understand native speakers, or if native speakers don't understand you when you speak English, that is your norm. That's your reality right now. If you want to change your norm, you want to change your norm where it's normal for you to communicate with native speakers and nobody asks questions, nobody asks you to repeat, and you don't ask everybody to repeat or to slow down or to say it again because you understand everybody. And you're confident, you communicate with confidence, and your conversations just flow and you enjoy them. You want to change your norm. So it all starts with understanding your current reality. What is your reality today and what is your norm? This is the first task in the course 9 Essential Skills to Achieve Native-like Fluency. Students are asked to analyze their practice routine. Nobody does this task correctly because people are not willing to look at their norm. So very often people have their own understanding of what kind of person they are. They have their own understanding of the reality they live in, and they even have their own understanding of the relationships they have with other people and the relationships they have with English. Let's say a person might say, but I learn English a lot. I've been learning English since high school. I've been learning, which translates in their language, I've been learning English for 20 years. But if you ask them, what have you been doing every year of those 20 years? Let's just take 1 year. What have you been doing all this year? And we start deconstructing it, and we see that a year has 52 weeks, and a person was doing something maybe 3 weeks in a year. Maybe it was an intensive course. Maybe they did something here and there, but altogether it was just 3 weeks of time. But a person lives in the reality where they've been learning English for 20 years. The reality of many people is that they've been attempting to learn English for 20 years, right? They've been starting, like they will start a course and then they will drop it. They will start a course and never finish it. They will do a course, then they will go home, forget everything, and go back to the same language course or language school to take the same course again. When we live in our own reality and when we have our own understanding of what's going on, and we usually have our own understanding of the way we speak and the way we communicate with people, that's why it's such a useful task to record yourself, to listen to yourself, to become aware of your intonations. And that's why the skill number 1 in the system of skills to achieve native-like fluency is attentiveness or awareness. This is the number 1 skill. You want to become aware of your own reality and your relationship with yourself, with your thought process, with the English language, with people who speak the English language, with people who write books, textbooks in English, who make videos in English. All this different culture. You want to understand your relationship with the culture as well, and with yourself in the first place. When you're delusioned about your own reality, it's very hard. It's practically impossible to understand what your norm is. This is why you're going to be very honest with yourself. When you take an honest look at your day, you are taking a very important step toward understanding your own reality. What do you do every single day? And do you have room in your day for what you think is important in your life? let's say for English. Let me tell you a story. A story about me changing my norm. I'm going to give an example that many people can relate to, hopefully, because this is about food, nutrition, cooking, and we all eat every day, right? That's something we can't really do without as human beings. We eat. Some people eat a few times a day, including myself. And something happened today, which helped me realize that I actually have changed my norm, but it has become so normal to me that I didn't even pay attention and I didn't even realize it until I saw a number that didn't used to be my number. I saw a number on the scale and I just weighed myself and I was like, I saw my parameters and was like, wow, the last time I had such parameters was maybe 10 years ago, or even earlier than that. And it was shocking, a little bit shocking for me. It's a good number, I'm not complaining, but I didn't realize that I'm already there, you know? And this is the trick. Let's say if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to change your diet so that you get your health back to normal, right? You want certain parameters to be okay again. And once you see a certain number, a desired number, let's say your desired weight or the desired, I don't know, blood sugar level, whatever your goal is, many people, as soon as they see that number, their first instinct is to celebrate and to stop. Celebrate and stop. And I caught myself thinking that today, and it was scary, to be honest. I saw how destructive the power of this thought process is. It can destroy everything you have gained. Once you see the number you were trying to achieve, you celebrate and you stop. And for many people, stopping means going back to square one, going back to what they used to do before. When you see the change happen and you want to celebrate it, it means this hasn't really become your norm. And I want it really to sink in. It hasn't become your norm, because whatever is normal is invisible. You don't notice it. You just don't pay attention to that because it's so normal for you that this is just your life. This is just how you go through your day. You don't realize that you're doing that. It has become a normal thing. And when you speak English, it doesn't matter how well you speak English, but the way you speak English today is your norm. And when you do an IELTS test or when you finish a language course and you get a certificate, pay attention to your reaction. What is your reaction? If you want to celebrate and stop, which means never go back to those exercises again, never open that textbook again, never go into that school again, and you want to go back to your previous behavior, which was probably searching for somebody who can explain English to you, or setting a goal to speak better English, or looking for a good textbook, or thinking what exam you should take, or scrolling through Instagram feed and looking for free lessons and not doing them, just watching lessons but not really doing much. This is scary. It means, well, to me, it means that I haven't really learned anything. I mean, I was doing something for some time, but this time was not enough for me to actually acquire a skill. And the skill needs to be so strong that it becomes my reality. And when it becomes my reality, it becomes unshakable. If you listened to my podcast about infinite learning, it's titled How to Fit Infinite Learning into Your Finite Day. I give 3 examples there. I talk about my fitness routine, my workout routine. I talk about cooking. I talk about English. I talk about running as well, and horse riding, I believe, as well. But my workout routine and my eating habits, I can't really live without them, right? So I work out every day. I've been physically active for the last 20-something years. And I mean really physically active. I would call myself an athlete because I can do quite complicated things. And food, right? I wanted to change my eating habits. And I was so focused on cooking and baking and that I didn't realized that I was telling myself not the whole story. And my intention was to change my eating habits because I wanted to change my physique, to change the norm of my physique. But I was telling myself that my intention was to learn to cook better, which is not true. Yes, I was doing that, and that is just a positive side effect. But the true intention was to change my physique and to change my eating habits, because I was tired of not being consistent with my eating habits. And I was trying keto, I was trying different diets, and I was just looking for something that would work for me, that would help me maintain the physique that I like, the level of energy that I want and that I can maintain, I wanted to have that boost of energy to work, to exercise, to do many things, to think clearly, and mental clarity is a big thing for me as well. So I was looking for that diet plan that would work for me, and I realized that today. I started in June 2020. That's when I got so sick and tired of experimenting that I decided to stop listening to everybody and to start listening to myself. That was the end of my unfortunate keto experiment. I was following it very strictly for 3 months, and it didn't work for me at all. I ended up feeling just bad, and it was swollen, and I even gained weight, so I didn't really like that at all. I made a deal with myself. I made a decision to start working out every single day. I needed a practice routine. So my practice routine was working out every single day, not because I was doing not enough exercise. That was not my motivation, but because we were in the middle of lockdown and I couldn't go to the gym, and I realized that I actually have more time. I have more time now. I don't need to commute to the gym. I can work out at home. I can buy the equipment I don't have, but the equipment that I need. And if I want to work out every single day, I need to create a routine that will work for me. Of course, if I lift heavy every single day, well, it's not going to be sustainable, right? So I needed to create a routine that will give me variety. The workouts should be challenging on some days and easy and relaxing on other days. So I have a lot of variety. I work with different equipment, but I stick to this routine. Every single day, I need to put a workout in. Sometimes I do something outdoors, and even now in winter, I run. Today, I went for a run today. And that was another thing that I changed when I realized that I promised myself to stick to a routine, but it's December and it's -15. What can I do? The solution was quite easy, I should say. The decision was not so easy, the decision to go outside and run. But the solution turned out to be easy. I just needed to buy the right gear. Because if you don't have the right running gear, it's freezing. If you have the right running gear, it's very easy to go and run outdoors because you just don't feel the cold at all. So exercising and food. Of course, I wanted to change the way I was feeding myself, feeding myself because I was cooking for myself already back then. And I just wanted to focus on what I wanted. I wanted to go with the flow. Like, what do I really want to eat right now? How much food do I really need? So I started in 2020, and that was I had 2 rules. I need to put a workout on every single day, and I want to listen to myself, not to anybody else. I don't care what is healthy. I don't care what is recommended. I don't care what everybody says. What do I want? And how much food do I want? And if I didn't want any food, I didn't eat. If I wanted another piece of pie, I would eat it. To make my practice routine sustainable, I realized that I needed to cook for myself because I can't find the things that I crave in the supermarket or anywhere else. I cannot really buy them. I need to make them myself. And that's how my cooking routine started. I had to cook those things, the things that I wanted. And today, almost 2 years later, I realized that I've been working out every single day since April 2020. Well, I missed a few days, maybe 10 days total in a year and a half. Some days I just couldn't. I had to travel or whatever. And I've been cooking for myself every single day. I stopped ordering food. I haven't eaten in a restaurant for a while, really. And the last time I didn't like it. It was a very good restaurant, but I didn't like it at all because the meat, the steak, the oil, everything tastes different, and I don't like it anymore. I mean, I use way better quality products at home, way better quality products. this is how I realized it. Only when I started making my own food. I had a routine, and I've been following it for a year and a half, a little bit over a year and a half. And today I saw the result that made me think that, wow, it's an unusual number, but it's how I feel every day. The feeling is not surprising. The physique is not surprising. How my clothes fit me is not surprising. How my level of energy is not surprising. Just the number, because I hadn't weighed myself for a while before that. I really didn't look at the scale. The change happened a year and a half later. A year and a half of consistent work. A year and a half of being consistent with my routine. Think about it, a year and a half. When people finish a course, or when people finish a diet, or when people finish following, stop following the nutrition plan that somebody makes for them, it doesn't mean they have changed the way they eat. It doesn't mean they changed the way they think about food. It doesn't really mean they changed anything. And probably the primary reason I don't like to ask anybody to write a nutrition plan for me or to write a workout plan for me, it's not because I don't trust professionals, but because I understand that once I follow through the plan, I will not know what to do next. And I will have to ask them to write a plan for me again. But this is not how I like to live my life. I like to understand what I'm doing so that I can improve my next result. If I don't understand how and why this plan looks this way and what they put in the plan and why it's good for me, and how do they even know what's good for me? They don't know how I feel today. Today, my dietary choices and the choice of my workouts totally depend on how I feel. If you're a female, you can relate as well. Depending on where you are in your cycle, that influences a hell of a lot of how you feel, right? And if your coach tells you, okay, we're going to run a marathon on Monday, I'm going to say hell no, because that's not the right day for me to run a marathon. And I know better than the most expensive coach in the world, because I know myself and I know where I am in my cycle. And I plan my workouts accordingly. The reason I spoke about effort at the beginning of this video is that today I realized that it wasn't really much of an effort to follow my practice routine. It wasn't much of an effort to stick to my practice routine. When you organize your routine, you have to choose the exercises that are easy for you to complete, to follow, and to repeat. Because a routine is something that you repeat over and over again. That's why it's a routine. It's something that you repeat over and over again. But I know very, very few people who want to repeat the same English exercise again and again. I know very few people who are excited about doing present perfect exercise again. They associate it with a lot of effort. They feel stupid every time they do this exercise. That's why they don't want to go back to that. Because again, they find themselves not understanding. They find themselves making mistakes again. And they think that they have to learn this rule again. So to make sure that you can repeat it, you can enjoy it, and what was the third thing that I said? And you can complete it, right? You need to choose the exercises that you can stick to over a long period of time. When I planned my practice routine, I made 2 commitments that are easier for me to follow. Maybe they're not easy for somebody else to follow, but they're easy for me to follow. Even though we're so alike, everyone is an individual, and every person has their own subjective truth. Nobody can tell you what is 100% right for you. You know your subjective truth. And the more you stick to your subjective truth, the more you listen to your subjective truth, the more objective truth you're going to understand about the world. How to stick to a routine if it doesn't bring immediate results? That's what I've been talking about. Of course it doesn't bring immediate results. Remember one of my favorite talks by Simon Sinek. I'm just going to quote him when he says, okay, you go to the gym, you do a workout, you finish your workout, you go look in the mirror, what do you see? Nothing. You do another workout. After a workout, you go and look in the mirror. What are you going to see? Nothing. You brush your teeth for 2 minutes. You look in the mirror. What do you see? Nothing. You brush your teeth the next morning for 2 minutes again. What do you see? Nothing. It's only if you brush your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day for 2 years or for a year, then you're going to see that you don't really need to go to a dentist. Of course, it doesn't bring immediate results, but you have to understand what a result is for you. I'm talking only about 3 things. I want to do something that I can complete, I can enjoy, and I can repeat. I'm not talking about becoming a master or a grandmaster, or I'm not talking about achieving virtuosity after one iteration. Only complete, repeat, enjoy. That's it. So when you plan your English routine, you want to choose something that you can complete, and I talk about it a lot with my students. How do you understand that you have completed the exercise? When people sit down to do something with their English skills, they choose the exercise that is too big to complete within the amount of time that they have. Let's say you think that you have 1 hour for your English, and then you sit down to do an exercise that specifically you, need 4 hours to complete. And when you don't complete it within an hour, you feel guilty. It's not because something is wrong with you or with English. It's your relationship with time and your time management skills. You bite off more than you can chew, but you don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit, and you don't like to admit that this is too difficult for you, because you think that a person of your level, that a person who has invested 20 years in English, the person who is so professional, is supposed to complete this exercise within an hour. A person like you is supposed to do this effortlessly. When you have this assumption about yourself, you need to check in with the reality. Every time you sit down to do something, you simply time yourself. You set the timer for 30 minutes and you start doing something, and 30 minutes later, when the timer beeps, you actually look at the amount of work that you were able to complete. How much work did you complete? How much work did you accomplish? That's your reality. That's how much you can do within 30 minutes. That means this is the maximum you can plan for the next day. Do not plan like this. You need to work with smaller exercises. When you can't complete an exercise, you don't feel any sense of accomplishment. When you don't feel a sense of accomplishment, you feel bad and you feel guilty. When I say you need to complete an exercise, I really mean it. Pick an exercise that you can complete within 20 minutes. It can be a very simple exercise. Let's say read a quote out loud. You can practice many skills, even if you read just one sentence out loud. And that can be my routine on some days. Today, I plan to read a quote, but I want to read it out loud so that it actually makes sense. Sometimes I will see a quote that has a lot of words that I don't know, but usually a quote is one sentence. It's only one sentence. And sometimes my focus can be vocabulary. Sometimes my focus can be thought chunking and pausing. Sometimes my focus can be emphasis. I want to read it in such a way that people hear the message. Or sometimes a quote can be pretty long and there can be a lot of punctuation. So I want to pay attention to thought chunking, to pausing, to showing contrast. A quote is usually a concentration of wisdom. People say very few words to communicate a lot of meaning. A quote will show you how you can use very few words to say what you mean to say in a very elegant and eloquent way. If you say it yourself, you will probably need 5 sentences or 50 sentences to express the same idea. But a quote shows you how you can do exactly the same thing just in one sentence. That's why I like to work with quotes. People like them for a reason, and people quote other people for a reason, because that's the concentration of wisdom. That's something that resonates. And that can be your exercise. Just read one quote. If you work with a movie, work with 30 seconds. Not with 90 minutes. If you do a grammar drill, well, don't do fill in the gaps 20 times or 20 sentences, sorry. Work with 2 or 3 sentences and then ask yourself, do I even understand what I did? Maybe if you like doing research, maybe do research instead of filling the gaps. And this is what I I'm trying to get at, you need to know yourself. You need to know your relationship with learning, your relationship with English, your relationship with time, to find something that you can commit to. I was able to find the routine that I could commit to, like working out every day. I can commit to that, but I know that not everybody can. Cooking for myself every day, I can commit to that. Well, first of all, I have experience. Like, I started cooking very early when I was a teenager, and then when I moved to a big city, I just forgot about that, and I was eating out a lot for years. But what I had to do is I had to remember that skill and continue improving that skill. So in the last year and a half, I have improved my cooking and baking skills to a level that is now way, way better than, let's say, back in the days when I used to cook every day, because now I do it with a completely different mindset. But I know that that's probably not something that everybody should do, and not something that everybody can commit to. I know about myself that I love creating my own exercises. I don't like grammar books. I just don't understand them. I don't understand the language of the grammar books. I don't understand this academic language. If I want to write a research paper, I will use those textbooks. But if I want to understand something, I need to do a lot of it, and then I need to explain this to myself. What did I actually do? Did it make sense? And then I want to check in with the book, or with the video, or with the source. Do I get it correctly? But this is me. I like to learn it by doing it. You might be a completely different person. What do you like? A lot of people say that they need to be controlled and they need to be told what to do. And honestly, I think this is a disease of our generation, when people can't make decisions and people are afraid to create. I believe that everybody has creative power, and the creative power of human consciousness is fascinating. It's a pity that people don't use it and they don't want to learn to use it. Because if your method is to wait for somebody to tell you what to do, you're never going to learn to take decisions yourself. If this is your reality, where you can only do a workout, or you can only commit to a workout if you know that a coach is waiting for you in the gym. So you will go to the gym because somebody is waiting for you, not because you want to work out, but because you promised somebody to be there. You can't sit down to do anything with your English or about your English unless somebody tells you exactly what you need to be doing and exactly at what time. You will not know what food to buy unless somebody makes a list for you. If you're that kind of person who needs control and who needs other people to tell them exactly what to do because they are afraid to make a mistake, if you're at the stage in your life where you need somebody to tell you what to do, we have to accept this reality first. My Native Like Fluency group absolutely is not the right place for people like that, because we are learning to create. We're learning to create our routine there. And if you expect a teacher to tell you exactly what to do, unfortunately, this is the wrong place for you. But I'm not trying to make a point that this is bad, that you need somebody to control you, because there are many people like that. There's nothing wrong with those people. I'm just trying to say that you got to be honest with yourself. If this is the case, then this method, especially the method I teach, is not going to work for you. That's it. You will always be feeling that something is missing. If we wrap it up, the structure is the following. First comes your burning desire to change something. And you want to change something because something that you have right now doesn't work for you. So you need to have this burning desire to change it. Usually, the thing that we want to change is our norm. Something that is normal for us, something that we haven't been noticing for a while, something that has been invisible for many years, suddenly became visible. We saw it. We see it very clearly, and we don't like it. And we want to change the norm. Let's say you were offered a job in an international company. It's your dream job. You've always wanted that, but the requirement is great English skills, or maybe great communication skills in English. Maybe you have a certificate, maybe you did your IELTS or TOEFL test, but your communication skills are not enough. Maybe you failed the job interview. You showed the certificate, but you failed the job interview. And this is something you want to change. This is the reality of many of my students. They want to change the norm of their communication skills in the English language, and they want to change the norm of their level of understanding the English language. So it starts with this, the burning desire. Then the next thing is you have to understand that it's going to take time. As you go through your day, you don't notice the things that are normal. So you will probably not feel that moment when it comes, that you have achieved something, because it's going to feel normal to you. But you have to understand that it takes an adult at least a year to change their norm, at least a year. And if you're not ready to commit to a year, whatever it is, fitness, eating habits, tennis, sports, flexibility, whatever it is, if you're not ready to commit to a year of work, it doesn't matter if you work with a coach or if you work yourself, because if you choose to change your behavior, that's still work that you put in every single day. Then you don't understand your reality, the reality of your relationship with time. Then you can ask yourself, have you acquired any skill in your life, be it driving or learning a foreign language or anything, in less than a year? Let's say from the moment where you're a total beginner to a moment where you're a confident user and you don't even question the things that you're doing because you can do them like with your eyes closed. Have you acquired any skill in your life and it was less than a year? Maybe you are that special person who is an exception. I don't have this story. I don't. Everything I had to learn was at least a year. And when I say learn, I really mean learn a skill. And if I understand that it takes at least a year, then, I understand that it's a year of work, not a year of waiting. So I want to ask myself, what can I commit to? What can I do so that it's easy for me to complete? It's easy for me to complete a workout because I know that my workout will take me 45 to 60 minutes. And when I start my workout, I know that 60 minutes later, I'm going to be done. When you sit down to do an English exercise, or when you sit down to do a task that your teacher gave you, and you're not sure if you can complete it, and if you're not sure if you have the right amount of time to complete it, and you don't even know what completion looks like, you're going to feel frustrated every single time. Because to understand what it means that you have completed an exercise, you need to have certain criteria of completion. How do you know that the workout is over? You feel sweaty, you feel good, you did 3 sets of each exercise, right? You had a plan to do 3 sets, 12 reps in each set, and you did all of that. The workout is over. But do you know if your English lesson is over? How do you know? For most people, when they work with a teacher, the teacher tells them when the lesson is over. Okay, time is up. Is that your only indicator? But when you work on your own, when you want to work on your English skills independently, what is your indicator? How do you know that you have done enough? It's completed when you have a tangible result of your work. And depending on the exercise you do, the tangible result of your work is going to be different. Sometimes it's going to be a piece of text, sometimes it's going to be a recording, sometimes it's going to be a video, sometimes it's going to be a list of words. But you need to understand what result of work you're going to produce. Then in one of my other videos, I was talking about the level of joy. So you want to ask yourself, what, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much joy did this exercise bring me? If your number is 5, 4, 3, and less than 5, you want to ask yourself, like, why? Because if you do exercises that don't bring you any joy, you're not going to repeat them, you're not going to go back to them. And again, we're talking about at least a year of work. So if I understand, and I understand this, that I want to stick to this routine for a year, I want to stick to something that brings me joy, not something that will require lots and lots of effort. Because this is logical that if I can't do something, of course it's difficult because I just can't and I don't understand what I'm doing. But the more often I do it, the easier it's supposed to get, right? And the easier it's getting, the more I'm enjoying it. Well, that's logical because I spend less effort and I see bigger results, and every day when I do this again, I'm getting a little bit better at it. I'm not getting a medal for every exercise that I do every day, but I'm getting a little bit better. And every time I get a little bit better at some exercise, I feel a lot of joy. That's what brings me a lot of joy. Sometimes I work with the content that brings me a lot of joy. I just love the fact that I've learned something interesting, or I've read a very beautiful excerpt, or I read a compelling quote. That brings me joy. But you need to know yourself. What brings you joy? I have no idea. I just know that when you feel joy, you're very likely to repeat that experience. And here comes the third one. What can I repeat? What can I choose to do that I can repeat? If you know that you can complete it, and if it brings you joy, let's say a workout for me, a workout is the joy of movement. I like to move. I like to be physically active, so it's just the joy of moving my body. And what is important for me is novelty and creativity. I like to repeat an exercise if I know that it's going to be new. Or I like to repeat the experience, I should say. I like to repeat the experience if I know that it's going to be a new exercise. Because I can't do the same thing every single day. I just can't. I need a lot of novelty. I need a lot of variety. What I'm encouraging you to do is I'm encouraging you to think about your relationship with routine. Think about any skill that you have acquired over the course of your life. How long did it take? Did you enjoy it? Would you repeat that experience? And if you did enjoy it, what made it so enjoyable? And if there is something you don't enjoy about working on your English skills, how can you make it more enjoyable? And can you maybe remove those elements that require a lot of effort but don't bring any joy? When I say joy, I don't mean we don't put any effort in. I just mean that the effort brings a lot of joy. But if it's on the effort and no joy, and if your mentality is the harder the better, so if I'm working hard, it means I'm doing the right thing, it's probably not the right path. Because if it's the right path, you want to keep following it. And if you keep thinking about taking a break or quitting, then it's probably not the right one. Or you don't really agree with your reality. There is something that you don't see in your reality. If you have any questions about this story or about this video, post them in the comments and I'll be happy to continue the conversation in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.